Welcome to another episode of Beer Bourbon and Games. I am here at Bube'S Brewery. I have never been here before, so I just got the tour of the catacombs, everything that's here. Really, really awesome historical spot. I'm here today with the brewers of Bube'S Brewery. We're going to take a little bit of a beer tour, get an idea of what's on right now, get an idea of what can be on in the future, kind of what their ideas are for this brewery. I know each little brewery has its own little niche or things that the brewers really like to do, so we're going to kind of talk about that today and the building in general. So first, we're just going to start off real simple. Introduce yourself. Just let the viewers know who you are, how long you've been here, kind of what got you into the brewing industry.
Hey, my name is Mitch Rumig. I've been brewing here at Bube'S since spring of 2017. I took over as head brewer around the end of 2017. This was my first professional brewing job, but I've had a few others in the time since. I worked at Stouts for a couple years, Iron Hill briefly, and I'm currently at Springhouse. Bube'S is a part-time gig, so it's great. It's a great have a lot of freedom here, so I get to come in here and do some one-off weird stuff, and then go back to my real job and brew the same beers all the time, which is fun too. But yeah, so that's my story.
All right, I'm Tony Morell. Been brewing for maybe 10 years or so. Mostly home brewing. I've brewed a few commercial batches at some breweries in Lancaster. I just love to brew. I'm here, like Mitch said, this is a really flexible place. You know, this is a part-time job for me, and I'm just here to keep pushing forward and love brewing beer.
So what got both of you guys into the beer industry? Were you just sitting around in college one day, you're like, wow, this stuff kind of is terrible, I can do a better job? Or what was your journey into this industry?
So I was into craft beer and kind of knew home brewing was a thing, but hadn't done it. And it was actually a Groupon deal from Midwest Supplies. I got a homebrew kit for really cheap on that, and did that probably around 2010, 2011, somewhere in that time frame, and just had a ton of fun with that, and thought my first few batches were great. Probably if I tried them now, I think they were terrible, but I loved them then. And then just went from there, and it eventually got to a point where I was like, I'm brewing more beer than I can drink at home. I got to find a way to subject other people to this. So that was, and then I did the Hack Brewing Science course. It's a 10-month certificate course, and started. I got the job here at Bube'S and the job at Stouts, both off of that course, and then just built from there.
My intro was sort of similar to Mitch's. Somebody gifted me a bucket-based homebrew kit maybe 10 years ago, and I brewed a bunch of duds. Was trying to recreate West Coast IPA by Green Flash and Nugget Nectar by Trogs, and none of them came out great. So I quit for a couple of years, and then got back into it and changed up the process when I got back into it. Did a brew in a bag and got a kegging set up, and looked past the bottling. I was struggling with that, and just kind of changed my process, and here we are.
So before we jump into the collection of beers you guys have placed in front of us here, let's just kind of briefly talk about the brewing equipment you have. What are you guys brewing with? What size tanks do you have? All of that good stuff that the beer nerds at home are probably interested in.
We have a really cool setup here at Bube'S. It's a 3-barrel system, but it's steam jacket heated, which is very rare for that small of a system. They don't really make that anymore, so it's an old, super manual, hands-on. You have to do everything yourself, but it's has a lot of ups and downs with that. It's tiny. You don't have any mash rakes or anything like that. You're stirring it all yourself. But then on the other hand, you got the steam jacket. You can do step mashing. You can do a lot of cool stuff that most places at this scale can't really do. But you're in there physically doing it the whole time. And so yeah. But anyways, it's a 3-barrel system. We have 10-barrel fermenters, so we can do triple batches. We normally do double batches for most beers, and it's so we have the two 10-barrel fermenters, and then we have 5 serving tanks, and then we serve some beer out of kegs. It usually goes to the serving tank first, and then when it gets lower, we'll keg off the last couple and go that way. But but yeah, the steam jacket is really the thing to me. It's like really cool. You don't see 3-barrel steam jacket breweries that often, and I've honestly never seen one in person before. So that's to me like the cool thing about the actual brewing system here.
So when you say steam jacket, I've heard things like direct fire and all that. Is that the steam jacket? Is that version of it, like old school version of that?
Yeah, that's kind of the other version is direct fire. So this is different, and it's usually as your system gets bigger, you're more likely to have more like a jacketed, but a smaller system, it's more likely to be direct fire. Up to like about 20 barrels is about the biggest you can really do with direct fire. Otherwise, it's just not practical. But then we're at the opposite end, on the really small end, but using like a system that's more like some of the bigger ones, except all manual. But it's still that steam jacket. It gives you a very gentle boil. So it's on one hand, if you're trying to get a lot of caramelization in the boil, you're not going to get as much of it. But if you're trying to do like really delicate, classic like German style lagers, which is one of the focuses we try to do here with all the German history, it's great for that. And it's just very gentle on the beer, which, you know, as I said, if you want to do like something like a wheat heavy Scottish ale, you want to get a lot of caramelization in the kettle. We don't get as much of that, but it's better for. It just depends on what you're trying to do, but it's just really unique to have that size system set up that way. You just don't see it. So yeah, there's plus and minuses, but it's just really cool that it's unique.
For where we are and all the history in this building, it 100% makes sense that you guys are doing it that way.
Yeah.
It just fits with everything. So kind of, you know, fun little nod to where we are. You guys could obviously, you have room to grow, but at this point, it doesn't really seem like you guys need to at this point with the 10-barrel fermenters and the double batching, potentially triple. So I think you guys are in a good place, at least at this moment. A lot of freedom, which is good. You guys seem to be doing whatever you'd like. And we have a ton of stuff here.
Yes.
I know most people have hazy IPAs and stuff like that. I did have the Oktoberfest earlier, which was really good. Was that you or you?
That was the first one. It was my recipe, but we brewed that together. That was actually Tony's first group day.
That's right.
Yeah, we brewed that and the pumpkin beer together. But yeah, so these are mostly mine. Tony's just getting started. If you come back in a few months, hopefully it'll be more like half and half. But right now, all the big batches are mine. Tony's done some small batches, and he has both the fermenters are full of Tony's beer right now. Just the timing worked out that we don't have them on tap yet, but we can go taste them off the fermenter later if you want to.
Well, right now he's not on, but there is going to be a friendly competition, I'm assuming, in the back end. They're going to know. We'll see who sells better, more beer.
We got the chalkboard for the tap list. We're going to do different colors. So if you know, you know. The white is Mitch and the red is Tony. If you don't know it, you just get whatever you want. But if you know, you can. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll actually do that.
We'll spread it evenly. We don't need anyone to get fired. They're both good brewers, so we want to keep them both employed. So we have a couple of things here. The one's really cool. We've got a blood on it. I know I talked to you about Friday the 13th coming up. This was not going to air before then, most likely, but Friday the 13th is always cool, and I love to see people doing stuff like that. So
we'll have another one in like a year, and then we'll do it again.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Friday the 13th next year, whenever that happens, look for it, and we'll have it then. But let's get started with whichever. What do you think is the best one to go?
We'll start with the wit. This is our lightest beer right now. So this wit beer is one of my favorite styles that I've been wanting to brew here forever, and this is the first time I've actually gotten to do it. The Hefeweizen is very popular here, and I feel like a lot of people either do a Hefeweizen or a wit beer. So this year I finally said, like, screw it. I would normally sometimes do a second batch of Hefeweizen. I was like, this year when the Hefeweizen kicks, we're switching to wit beer. they're both great, but I love getting something a little different with the Belgian wit. So this has this was actually a triple batch, one of the rare. Like I said, most of them are double batches, but this one I actually kettle soured one of the 3 batches and blended it all together to try to get some of that rusticity of like the traditional Belgian. It's got unmalted wheat and flaked wheat, and then also malted oats, which flaked oats are, you know, probably more traditional, but with all the other flaked grains and stuff in there, I decided to go with the malted, and I'm really happy with it. It's got, you know, all the classic. I was just going for classic wood beer, basically. It's got the orange peel and coriander, and it's a blend of 2 different Belgian yeasts, plus the kettle souring for 1/3 of the batch. So yeah, just trying to get to a traditional flavor with maybe less traditional methods. Kettle sour is not really a thing in Belgium, but they get their sour in different ways, but try to bring some of that in.
Well, it's extremely clean, extremely nice here. We are definitely getting the Belgian notes. I got the coriander right away, so I knew what we were getting here. The beer is really good. So for the people out there that might not have had a Belgian before or wit, think Blue Moon, that kind of style there, but better. It's an actual craft version. I don't know necessarily what the sour is giving it. There might be a little bit of a funk on the back end, but I'm not super pronounced, but I don't think you're really going for
yeah,
that.
It's kind of going for like a background note. It's not, you know, I don't want it to be sour,
Yeah.
just you know, give it a little more complexity.
Yeah, the minute someone hears sour, they probably won't order it because they think it's going to be, you know, a goza or anything like that. But yeah, this is very, very nice. A good first example of what you guys are capable of doing. And I like the German heritage being thrown even into the beer. So
Yeah.
we are
Even
good with
Belgian
this
beers,
one.
It's still German.
I do like that. That's really good.
Next one is our Amber Anachronism California Common. I brewed this right before the announcement that Anchor was closing down. I was actually in the middle of reading the Anchor Brewing book. They have their own like officially sanctioned book, and in that book at one point they referred to Anchor Steam as an Amber Anachronism. I'm like, that's a good beer name, I'm gonna take that. And then they shut down, and now I'm like, well, there was a tribute on purpose, even though it was already in the tank at that point.
He wasn't jumping on the bandwagon, guys, even though there's all of a sudden like 12 people in the area that all have a steam beer at the same time, which before that happened, I had never heard of steam beer. And I still have absolutely no idea what a steam beer is. I love steampunk, so I immediately thought of that. Has nothing to do with that, but nice like caramel color.
Yep.
I don't know what the style is supposed to be like, so I don't know if you hit what you were going for or what.
It is basically an amber lager that is normally fermented it's fermented with lager yeast, but a little warmer, closer to like an ale temperature. So you get a little bit of like estery notes from the fermentation because you're doing it a little warmer, but still hopefully fairly clean and lagery kind of in between. Traditionally, the Anchor version, which is the one everyone knows, they use Northern Brewer hops, which I didn't have, but I combined some German Hallertau and some American Cascade and tried to kind of combine them and get to something somewhere close to that character. Northern Brewer is an older American variety that still has, they say it's like, it gets some like woody character, but it's got some of that like earthy, more like German noble hop combined with a little bit more fruity character of an American hop. So I didn't actually have that hop, so I was trying to combine American and German hops to get somewhere close. And then most of the color is caramel malt, like you said, the caramel color that comes from actual caramel malt. And yeah, so it's just a nice kind of, the bitterness is higher than a lot of like traditional amber lagers, but then otherwise, you know, kind of an American amber lager, just with a little bit of a twist of the classic like Anchor version. So
This perfectly goes into one of my system. I'm gonna give this 0 stars. Not my style. I don't like it whatsoever. No, I'm just kidding. What do you guys feel as brewers about things like Untapped? Obviously, I've got nothing to rate this against. Never had one before. It's very common for people to just rate beers poorly. Does it mess with your, self-esteem? Do you guys even look at them? What do you guys think about it?
I've been kind of an abusive relationship with Untapped. I look at it a lot more than I should, and I have gotten to the point that I can roll with it more. It used to upset me more, but I still look at it, and then I just take it with much more of a grain of salt than I used to. But yeah, it's definitely. I've worked a lot of places that have like very mixed history, and I feel like Untapped like takes a lot of what's happened before, and people bring in their previous opinions without really looking. And then there's, like you said, that's the thing everyone complains about. It's like, I hate IPAs, 1 star. I'm like, well, you bought an IPA. But there's also people who are like, oh, well, this place had this issue at this time, so now everything they ever do is terrible. But we got plenty of fans too. It's balanced.
Plenty of fans. Is that a new website?
Yeah.
I feel like Untapped's becoming outdated too.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you look at some of the ratings, it's like really like a 2.0 on a sour beer, and they're like it's too sour, or like don't rate it. If you think a sour beer is too sour, like move on to something else.
Yeah.
I do like Beer Advocate a little bit more just because of the in-depth reviews. At least you have someone that seems to be a little bit more vetted in the industry. I used to do Untapped. I stopped for a couple reasons. One, I was spending way too much time sitting there because unlike most people where they just go, star or whatever, I was leaving the in-depth review that probably no one read anyway.
I read them.
Okay,
I was
good.
reading them.
Okay, good. I was missing out on the experience of being with people because I was staring at my phone, and I just didn't need Pokemon for adults anymore. I really was over that. The other reason I just don't like the app is it could lead to someone potentially losing their job. So definitely, when you guys go somewhere, think about what's behind that beer that you're rating. Just because you don't like it, imagine you're running a business and you see that Mitch has a whole bunch of really low rated scores. You're going to go, well, Mitch is obviously the problem. We need to fire him and get someone new in. So the
I need another beer.
Yeah. the reviews that you're doing really impact the people that are there. So think about that when you order a style that's not your own. There is a human being behind that, and it may be their first batch they've ever done. It might be the first time they've ever gone from a homebrew system to, all of a sudden a 10 barrel. There's a lot of factors on those brew days and what can happen. So if you do Untapped, just think about it a little bit more. It's all I'm asking.
I don't want to blame the users because honestly, that's what I used to think of Untapped as this is my personal opinion. It's not, like how to go to something like Rate Beer, Beer Advocate, and those kind of things where you're going to do it more in depth and try to be more objective. And then Untapped is like the subjective. Like I'm sitting here, I'm going to say what I think right now, but then now working in the industry is not really an effect us here because we don't distribute, but at some of my other brewing jobs where it's like you will literally have distributors coming like, well, we don't take IPAs that have under a 4-star rating, and then you look at the ratings like, I don't like IPAs 1 star, and it's like, well, why is that person? And I'm not upset at that person. That person is just being themselves. It's more the people in the industry that are causing that problem. So I want to be clear. I don't blame people for putting their opinion out there. It's more the what's happened to the app since that. I don't blame the users. You can have whatever opinion you want.
All of this stuff has definitely stressed everyone out. I think everyone needs another beer. Mitch is sweating here. This beer is rated 2 on Untapped. It's a really good one.
Yeah, it's up from 1.75 last year. This is our Oktoberfest. So it's, I purposely put these next to each other. Very similar color. It looks similar to the Cali Common, but like we talked about, that one gets most of its flavor from the crystal malt, caramel malt. This is like all German malts. It's mostly, Munich, Vienna, more like toasted malts versus caramelized malts. So it's not as sweet. It's more like a deeper, bready malt character. But looks very similar to the other one. They're both lagers. They're both kind of amber lagers. You might think they'd be the same, but I think they taste very different from each other.
Yeah, they definitely are vastly different. I had this one while I was sitting in the bar down there. It was fantastic. I really, really like. This time of year, Oktoberfest in general are one of my favorite. I just like fall. I love spooky season, all of that stuff. And what better place to drink, an October beer than in a place like this?
We got the German history. We got the spooky stuff going on. It's like this is our time.
Yeah,
this is right now.
So yeah, they have a really cool vibe. So if you are into that, definitely come out. I know I was talking to Phil. He gave me a tour. The catacombs are really cool down there. Even when they're not decorated, that can be a little terrifying for anyone that's claustrophobic or what could be lurking around the corner. Especially I heard when you go down there in the morning and there's no lights on. So a lot of fun times. Which leads me perfect into one of my questions here. I've heard lots of rumors of this place being haunted or having a lot of history. Do you guys have any of your own ghost stories that you've encountered, or do you have any favorites that you've heard about the place if you have not encountered anything?
I've come in here early in the morning a number of times, and when I come, there's an entrance right below this bar, and when I come through this entrance and then go under the restaurant and pop up by the main brewery, I feel like someone's following me. And there's there's pictures and portraits on the walls, and I see them, and then I feel like they're behind me after that. It feels odd. It definitely feels odd. And I'm using my phone as a light, looking around. It's a whole thing. I feel really good when I turn all the lights on.
I don't believe in any of that stuff, but I love that I love listening to other people talk about it, and I don't believe it, but I love the stories. I love horror movies, and I don't think they're real, but it's still fun to hear about. So I'm gonna.
I should come in earlier.
But it is definitely creepy in here. But it's I've had plenty of times coming in early in the morning after there's a party the night before, and the bartender is sleeping somewhere. They didn't get done until 5 in the morning. Clean up. They're I'm just gonna go to sleep here, and so I've had those experiences. But they've all turned out to be real people and not ghosts.
That's fair. We have a denier over here. That's okay. I had an experience as a kid where I saw a ghost. My wife doesn't believe me, but I know what I saw. Switching gears from the spooky, you guys are both obviously in the beer industry. Who would you guys say is your biggest influence?
This may just be because it's a Pennsylvania thing, but I really like Human Robot. That's why if I go to Philly, that's where I go first. I really like their dark lagers. I like their pilsners. Their Howler's House Pils is amazing. Their Tomato Pivo is amazing. And I like their lineup in that they're mostly pilsners and lagers with one hazy IPA in the back end and one sour beer and one stout. And I just like the direction that they go. So if I had to pick a brewery that I would want to go to all the time, that would be it.
So you'd probably brew more on the human side instead of the robot side?
Yeah.
This is our Hop Allergy IPA. This actually kicked as I was pouring these samples, so that's why they're not quite full. But this was mostly Nelson. We get all of our hops basically from the spot list from BSG, and so basically when you see Nelson show up on the list, and I'm ordering as much as I fiscally is responsible to order because I love Nelson and it's not normally available. So it was, I don't know what sub-style of IPA to really put it in. It was just kind of what I thought would be a good for the Nelson hops. So it would lean more West Coast, but it's got a bunch of rye in it to give it some body. So it's mostly base malt outside of that, but then with a bunch of rye, and then a little bit of CTZ on the hot side, and then all Nelson softened in the Whirlpool and the dry hop. So you get a little bit of the dank, but then hopefully some grapey, jammy kind of flavors. And like I said, it just kicked, so nobody else is going to get to try this anyway, so I don't know why I'm describing it, but hopefully you like it.
So for all you people at home that don't get to try this, really nice beer. You do get some of that dank stuff that he was talking about, some of those fruit kind of in the background, a little bit of like that Centennial type note if anyone is trying to go for like a Midwestern IPA type style where it's kind of muted in between. It's definitely not hazy juicy, but it's not quite in that dank resinous realm of what's out there, but a really, really nice, easy drinking beer. I'm guessing probably like 6%-ish.
Yeah, 6.5, somewhere
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, and you said you dry hop this, I'm assuming, from the notes of how it's kind of drinking?
Yep. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of Nelson Sullivan in the dry hop. Bigger dry hop than I normally do, but
Do you remember what it was, pounds per barrel?
it was around 4 pounds per barrel. It was like really high. I normally go lower, but I was like, I got 2 bags of Nelson. I was originally going to do 2 different batches, blend it with more, and I was like, no, let's just put them all in there, you know. So yeah, so there was, you know, the 1 bag that went partially in the whirlpool and then finished in the dry hop, and the other one was just purely dry hop. So
Fuck it, we'll do it. Good question. I think I know your answer at this point, but what are your favorite hops to brew with in the industry?
it's probably like on the boring end, but I like that we've been getting a lot of like reappraisal and things that we were just talking about how before we were filming, Tony and I were talking about I feel like Simcoe has changed over time. Simcoe is one of my favorites, and you know, used to get a lot of dank, the like cat piss kind of thing, and I feel like it's gotten away from that and got a lot more like juicy, fruity coming out now. And this is not the question you asked, but the one I've been most excited about that I haven't gotten to try is the I keep reading about Michigan-grown Chinook hops, which Chinook are like the classic old school IPA hop when it was all about grapefruit and dank. But supposedly the Chinook being grown in Michigan is much more like fruit forward, tropical, more similar to like some of the newer hop varieties, and like I just love that idea of like just, you know, seeing, you know, we talk about like the beer styles evolving, but the ingredients are evolving with us as we find new ways to do it, and that's what I like too. Just like I feel like everyone had a specific idea of what each hop was, but then now we're like different harvest times, you know, where the hop farmers are, you know, treating them differently, like drying at lower temperatures and stuff to change, and it's like that's my favorite thing right now, honestly, is just like finding an old hop and treating it differently and seeing that what it can do differently now.
Motueka is my go-to hop.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll bring up the tank pour in a little bit of my hazy, but it's Citra Motueka, and I do a New Zealand Pilsner that's basically all Motueka. I think it's a derivative of Saz, so it makes sense. It's like, I don't know the history behind it really, but I feel like it's
classic Pilsner, like the Czech Pilsner hop.
yeah.
But it's the same thing. Yeah, it's like evolved. We're taking that old school thing and doing something new.
Yeah. I love that hop. I think it complements Citra really well in an IPA. It gives it a soft, tropical flavor, I guess, but that's my go-to.
Really good one for Bube'S here. Every single brewery has its own niche. What would you say really sets Bube'S apart from just everyone else, either in the area or just in general? Why should people come here compared to somewhere else?
Trying to make good beer. We try to have the classic German stuff and some new stuff. But honestly, the reason to come to Bube'S is because it's Bube'S, and it's hopefully the beer is good. But this building has such a unique history. We have so many. It's you know, you talk to certain people, they think Bube'S is just an event space. You talk to other people, they just think it's the neighborhood bar. You talk to other people, and they think it's, you know, a brew pub or whatever. Like, it has all that different stuff, and it's just got so many different things going on, and I think that's the main attraction to me. And it's always interesting to talk to customers and see why they decided to come, and it's always different. We get a lot of tourists that are like coming in to see like Amish country in Lancaster County, and they're like, oh, there's this historical thing, and they come here for that, not knowing that then, you know, that weekend we have a blow party and it's going to be full of like college kids with glow sticks, and then, you know, there's other people that are here for the like murder mystery dinner theater, and then there's other people that, you know, like I said, just the locals that just come out and, you know, drink a couple beers and get wings and do all that stuff. Though that's I think the main thing. Is just so unique and has so many different things going on.
So for anyone that hasn't been here, like me, I've never been here. Tons of history for sure. I'm going to throw in some B-roll of some of the stuff I saw today. Catacombs are awesome. You can eat down there. There's a couple different bars, it seems. Each one has a different theme than the next. There's an outdoor beer garden that has a completely different vibe from everywhere else. I looked online and they're a hotel. I saw they just recently renovated a jungle room. I don't know what that means, but it seems like everything is themed. So this could be a one-stop shop for a lot of different things. So really, really cool. For people that do come here, it seems like fine dining in the Catacombs. You said wings. Is there like an overall menu that people can expect if they come here, or does it kind of change seasonally?
It changes seasonally, and then we also have the separate, so we have the Bottling Works is our more like brew pub bar type of menu, and then Catacombs is a little bit more high end, and that's the downstairs. It's like, you know, I don't want to say fine dining, but it's like more high end versus Bottling Works is more, you know, burgers and wings and, but you know, you can get the beer at both, so that's the important thing.
So for everyone out there that's watching, located in Mount Joy, but for all the other information, Mitch or Tony, how can they find this place? Where do they go? Socials, all of that different stuff.
Pretty much Bube'S Brewery everywhere on social media and bube'sbrewery.com. We have pretty active Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Yeah, you gotta go on TikTok and watch all the ghost videos here if you're into that. We got a lot of ghost videos on there, so it's always fun.
You can also take the train here.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, train station's right across the street. Yeah,
Right from
the train
Lancaster
stops
down the
right
road.
there. Yeah, and we have Twisted Buying is only 2 blocks away. Coming here, we're friends with those. They're great people over there. Do both. You know, don't pick one or the other. You gotta do both.
Yeah.
If you're taking the train to Mount Joy, you might as well go to both breweries.
Go to both. There's plenty of stuff around here. Say hi to Tommy if he's in there and he's brewing something. Well, I want to thank you guys for obviously standing here with me. We're not sitting. But is there anything left that you guys want to just say to anyone that's here that might be viewing online?
We got more beers to drink. We got to talk about the beers. That's about it.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay, let's talk about it. I was going to do that after the fact and say you guys don't get to see all of them, but we're going to go ahead. Let's finish up with a few beers, and then we'll do a sign off and see what we have.
We got more beers to drink. We got to talk about the beers. That's about it.
Okay, let's talk about the beers. I was going to do that after the fact and say you guys don't get to see all of them, but we're going to go ahead. Let's finish up with a few beers, and then we'll do a sign off and see what we have. But what do we have left, Mitch?
So we got next up. This is pumpkin carriage. This is a new. I used to make the same pumpkin beer every year, and I got a little bored with this the last couple of years. I've just been doing a new recipe every year. So this is it's a Belgian dark strong ale for the base. It's 9% alcohol.
I was gonna say, is this an imperial? Because it smelled like it was at least 8.5.
Yeah.
I'm getting like boozy pumpkin going on here. It smells very similar to like a pumpkin for anyone that's out there. How's that like nutmeggy type like baking spice notes is in here? So
Real spices too, right?
yeah, that's
Ground up, real spices.
Yeah, whole spices ground up with. We got the retired bar Vitamix blender, and now I get to use it to grind up all our fresh spices every year. So yeah, it's got cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, ginger. Got pumpkin in the mash, vanilla post fermentation, and then it's pretty basic Belgian dark ale, but then with all that stuff added to it.
It's fantastic. I think one of the things that's nice, no matter how many ingredients though, he did list off a ton of stuff in here. It's not overwhelming. It's not like you're just drinking, ginger snap in a glass. There's actually different layers to this beer, which is really good. I think it's very well blended. I really like it. I just want to stop talking about it and just drink some more, but honestly.
I'll say this was the second beer that Tony and I brewed together. It was my base recipe, but then Tony came in to transfer it. I was like, add this much vanilla. He was like, I added way more vanilla, and I think it's better that way. I was like, it is better that way. That's a good call.
So there were like 4 ounces left. I just got all of it.
Was it extract or Madagascar vanilla or?
It was vanilla extract. I think it is actually Madagascar vanilla extract though.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I just felt like it all needed to go in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna go, you might as well just go for it.
Yeah, it gets with that Abbey yeast, it gets really dry, and then the spices are pleasant in the aroma. But when I got a sip before, I felt like it was a little harsh. But then adding all that vanilla kind of sweetens it up a little bit. It makes it supports the spices more, so it doesn't just taste like spiced tea, and hopefully supports it better.
Have you guys ever done any bottling or distributing or anything like that? Because this feels like a really good aging beer.
No distributing. I've done 2 different bottle projects since I've been here. The one was for we had an album release for a local band, the Stonewall Vessels, and we made an Imperial Porter for them, and it's basically they had a concert, it was an album release, you bought a ticket, you got a bottle and a CD, and you came to the show, and that was really fun. And then during COVID, everything was shut down. I was just basically really bored, and I made an old ale and did a super long boil, and brewed that, and I made some bottles of that, and then we aged it in the bottle in the catacombs. So we released, I did 300 bottles, and I bottled it, aged it in the catacombs for only for a month for the first release, and released the first 100 bottles, and then we left it down there for 6 months, released the next 100, and then a full year, and released the last 100. We still have some of that last set here, but that was in 2020, and we got a few bottles left of it. I haven't opened one in a while. Last time I did, it was definitely showing its age, and it was very different, and it was I still liked it, but it was a totally different beer, which that's the fun thing to do with that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where we're at with if we're gonna do bottles. It's basically for an event. Normally it's not, we're not looking to do any distribution or anything, but if we're gonna have a special event, or if we want to do some cool project like that, or try and age in the catacombs, or do something different, then we'll do very small bottle releases.
That's a cool way too to tie in some of the history of the catacombs. It's good use because obviously the catacombs were designed for cold storage. It's exactly what they're there for, and you're tying right back into the history of what this building was for. So we've got, I believe, a ginger beer left.
Yep.
We've got, I think your bloody thing has kind of started to run down. What is that? What is the?
So this is Camp Blood Goes to Space.
Oh, that's great.
So I do a Camp Blood beer every Friday the 13th here. It's usually just a single keg for Friday the 13th. And I've gone through all the movies. We're up to anyone who's a fan of the series already knows that I said it's Camp Blood Goes to Space. We're on Jason X here. So to get the space theme, it's got Tang, and then it's got blood orange syrup, just like the bar syrup, to get the blood theme. And so this is the wit beer as the base, but then with the Tang and blood orange syrup and edible glitter added to it. Obviously, you need that. And then we have a bloody rim, which is grenadine and corn syrup to give it the bloody rim. And we have the Friday 13th party this weekend, which, as you said, is probably already passed by the time people see this. But we will be doing frozen cherry garnish. If you're familiar with the movie, this is like the most famous scene in the movie where Jason dumps someone's head in liquid nitrogen and freezes it and then smashes it on the tabletop. So we're gonna have a smashed frozen cherry on the end here. I didn't get that ready for tonight, unfortunately, but we do have the rest of it here. So yeah, it's a wit beer base with tang and blood orange and a bloody rim.
Well, for anyone that grew up in the 90s like me, the tang, it's definitely a kick in the glass. It's very, very nice. The tang comes really present. I think I'm still getting some habanero in for mango, but you know, I can taste it. This was probably bad planning on our part, but I like the presentation. I love Jason X. It was when Kane Hodder came back to the series after not being there for a little bit. I met him. He is a scary, scary person in real life. I have a picture of me when I'm like 8 in a headlock from him. I've met him multiple times. Very, very, very cool person. Most of the people in the horror industry are very cool. But this, I'm really glad that you are doing this. Obviously, I talked to you and you did the, Jason Goes to New York.
Jason Takes Manhattan. We did the Camp Blood Takes Manhattan, and it was a Manhattan cocktail-inspired beer. So it had the grapes that are with the. So it's modeled after that, and then that was actually the last chili pepper beer before Tony's was the Camp Blood Goes to Hell was a chili pepper beer, and now we're up to this one. So the first few. I've done all the movies. The first few, it's hard to really get a theme. They're all just like at a camp, people get killed, and it's like, all right, well, make it bright red, and then do whatever, and that was it. But then you get into the later ones, they get more specific, and you get more into that kind of stuff. So that's the. So if you're following the series, then the next one is Freddy versus Jason.
I was going to ask, are we going to do a camp versus?
We had an event here a couple years ago with the actor from Nightmare on Elm Street 2 was here, and like they screened the movie, and he like did commentary and stuff. So I did a Hypnosil coffee stout for that. So now I'm gonna bring back for we're up to Freddy versus Jason. We're gonna do Camp Blood versus Hypnosil. So we'll have, like I said, they're normally just a single keg one-off, but that one, I'm like, all right, we're getting to the end here, doing full batches. So it's going to be a coffee stout for Hypnosil, and then I'm not 100% sure what the Camp Blood's going to be, but all I know is it's got to be bright red, and then it's got to work well for doing like a black and tan with the coffee stout. So I'm not sure yet. I got about a year to figure it out. So I'll figure it out. But that's going to be full batches. That's going to be that's like the big finale.
So the people that are watching next year, make sure you come there, and then we'll have to start the reboots where Jason is actually a little bit smarter. I like the new versions a lot. I like his little cave. Maybe
set traps.
He did set traps. He can use a bow. Maybe we can do something since we're at a camp. I don't know if he's ever done it, but maybe like a s'mores type, campfire type inspired beer or something that tastes like your dead mother. I don't know.
I did do a s'mores beer once. We had the one summer we did ghost stories in the beer garden. And we had a little campfire circle out there, and had like a kids friendly ghost stories, and I had a smoked porter, and I made a s'mores version of the smoked porter.
Where the hell? Okay, so people watching at home, we've got one beer left, and a random flake from Tony
3 beers left.
showed up. I'm going to assume these are the tank pours. Guys, these aren't on yet. They might be on by the time that we get to them. So these beers, as we describe them, they're not finished. They have not been carved at this point. They're just straight from the tank. They could still need time to ferment and all that good stuff. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. It is not finished. This is obviously the most beautiful Pilsner I have ever seen, ever. No, it smells wonderful. This is coffee, isn't it?
No.
Wait, no. Sorry, I have like ginger on my nose. I have habanero on my nose. Guys, completely ignore everything I said. There is no coffee in this. I can no longer smell or taste at this point.
This is a soon-to-be Tamabe Pivo dark lager.
Okay.
This is currently lagering. It's in week 1 of lagering. So it's got
5 more weeks?
hopefully,
Okay.
3, 4, 5, somewhere in that vicinity. Because it'll go to serving tank and continue to lager. So if the timing's right, we'll put it on when the timing's right, I would think, like after a few weeks.
It's got that nice dry note to it that you typically get in a lot of them. I'm very familiar with like the poor man's Tamabe Pivo that they have on all the time, which is a great beer. I don't normally see this style very often, so it's refreshing to see someone else making it and being passionate about it. So always really cool. Still young, obviously he's got a lot more time that he wants to spend on this. With lagering, things are only going to get better with time. They're going to go ahead, lager longer, as I like to say it. Lager a little longer, get a little bit better, and we're going to have a good time with this. You don't rush these things.
Right.
Will turn out a really, really nice beer, and I like that you're putting them on the serving tanks as well. Are they horizontal tanks that you serve out of? Or
No, they're vertical. They're old school grungy tanks for anyone who's familiar with like old school serve, old school. There's back in the day there were people who used them as fermenters and stuff. We just use them for serving tanks, but they're old grungy tanks. But yeah, this was another one of the things. I'm very familiar with German lagers. I don't know as much about Czech lagers, and now it's one of the first when talking to Tony about Czech lagers, and I was like, I know that's like they're like getting more popular right now, and I don't know much about them. And Tony was like, I got this Tamabe Pivo recipe, and I was like, let's do it. This was his first beer that he brewed on his own full-size batch here, and I'm very excited to get it on tap.
I didn't want to come out the gate with a sour or an IPA. I felt like with this establishment, a lager, a Pilsner, or something like that would be a good first beer, And what's funny is that the IPA that I brewed is going to be released first.
Yeah.
And then the lagers, it just makes sense. It makes sense. The IPA was brewed just 12 days ago or something like that, but it doesn't need that lagering time.
Yeah.
But this one, I'm anxious to see how that comes out in 3 weeks or so. 4 weeks.
It's already really, really good.
Yeah.
That dry, like chocolatey note kind of in there as well. Almost like the baking chocolate. Like if you've ever had that kind of, just not something you typically want to eat, but if you want to like randomly try flavors and see what's out there, it's welcomed.
A little bitter chocolate.
Yeah,
it gets a little bit in that of the finish, but like up front, it's much sweeter and more, much more palatable than that to begin with. I mean, a little bit of that, the finish helps clean it up and, makes you want to take another sip, basically.
I think you guys are going to balance each other out really nicely. Obviously, you're going to learn from him from you.
Yep,
the Czech stuff is really, really cool. I love what you guys are doing so far. Obviously, you're newer here and glad that you've come aboard. So keep up the good work.
Thanks.
We'll see how things obviously evolve from this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're definitely already killing it. So we're glad. We've got 2 things left. I'm still drinking Tamabe Pivo. This looks like a hazy.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is the IPA that you have coming aboard soon.
Yep. This is middle of being dry hop.
Yeah, this is dry hop yesterday. This one should actually be on tap by the time the video goes up. This might be like the thing to come in and try.
I'll try to put this out Friday night.
Juicy, hazy, smells fantastic. Anyone that likes, those juice bombs that are out there, at least that's what it smells like at this point. Did you dry hop it as well?
Yeah, just yesterday. So this is 24 hours. This is probably 30 hours into dry hopping. It'll finish the next 2 days. I think it should be done.
Oh, that is good.
Thanks. Yeah, this is a recipe I've been working on for a little bit. This is just Citra and Motueka, half and half, 50-50 split right down the middle. Very little bittering hops. I pushed the water chemistry with this one to try to really get this to do this.
If it keeps the same thing as what I have right now, guys, very well balanced between the the citra notes. It's nice and soft. I do really like the mouthfeel that is in here.
It should get a little less harsh. Like it's right now. If we were to look at the tank, I feel like the hops are just dropping right now.
Okay.
So it should be less harsh than this, but Friday night we'll see.
Yeah. And that's speaking of the mouthfeel specifically, and now Tony mentioned that he's messing with the water chemistry. That's something I've never done here.
Okay.
I've done that in other places, and I was always like, well, Bube'S is it's the Mountjoy Brewery. We're doing the Mountjoy water, but hazy IPAs are like such a thing. I've tried to do some hazy IPAs, and honestly, I've never been happy with them. And this is Tony's first shot here, and this is the best hazy IPA we've had probably ever at Bube'S. I would say, because I don't think anyone before me was ever doing hazy IPAs. And then when I tried, I was like, you gotta do the water chemistry to get it right, and it's a weird balance of, like I said, like trying to honor like the history of Bube'S and do like the classic things, but then if you're gonna try to do a new style, that's what you got to do. And I was very excited to get Tony to come in and start doing more of that stuff. So I think some of the negative Untapped IPA reviews are going to change a lot when Tony's IPAs start going on tap. That we might be switching to Tony's going to be doing all of it.
Well, we have one final beer. We are going to sip this. In the process of doing that, I'm going to let both of them say goodbye to you guys, whatever they'd like to say. Obviously, I apologize. The video quality might be dipping because the light went from real bright to we've been drinking for about 6 hours is what it feels like at this point. So it has gotten dark in here. The spirits are out, I can definitely tell. Even though Mitch doesn't believe it, some random person just came in from the bathroom that I don't know how he got here because that's clocked, that's whatever. Some guy randomly showed up. So it is haunted, don't care. So we are going to drink this. If you've never been to Bube'S, come and check them out. They're doing really, really cool stuff. Obviously, there's the traditional beers, but now that we have Tony on, he's going to raise their Untapped scores with all of their hazy IPAs that we have here. So, really appreciate you guys both sitting down with me here today. What do you guys have to say to the people kind of watching at home if you want to say goodbye or whatever it might be?
Come check us out. It's a constant evolving process. Mitch is a great brewer. We're trying to just make the best beers we can.
Yeah, I've been here for a long time, and I think I have some good stuff going. But bringing Tony in, we're gonna get some new stuff, change things up, keep some of the classics and change stuff, and it's should be very exciting going forward. We'll always have something new. We have kind of a different setup. We don't have a standard brewer's license. We do have like a full liquor license. So bring your friends that don't want to go to breweries with you because they can get whatever cocktail, not just PA spirits. No offense to PA spirits, but there are people who want their Jack Daniels or whatever. We can accommodate both here. So come check it out. Come hopefully come for the beer and stay for the ghosts. I don't know.